My name's Nemesio, and this is the story of how I went from a broke kid who lived in low-income housing until I was 26 years old to a 27-year-old making 6 figures a year with plans to save $100,000 in the coming months. I grew up with a single mom, and we lived off $1,600 a month growing up. And now I work in cybersecurity, making way more than that. I have 2 blossoming tech channels. I've achieved over $30,000 in savings and investments. I moved out of my childhood home into a downtown high-rise luxury apartment. I have the car that I always wanted. And my mom knows that as long as I'm working and I'm working hard, she will always be taken care of. Essentially, I am handcrafting the life that I always dreamed of. And it seems like everything changed in the last year and a half, honestly. But my journey here has been extremely challenging, and I almost lost my life in the process. I'm gonna share it all in this video, even some things I've never shared on camera before. This video is not to brag. This video is to give inspiration to those who came from a difficult situation like the one that I came from, to show you it's possible to overcome it. We'll begin when I was 12 and moved across the entire country from Washington State to Florida. A whole new world, new languages, new weather, new people. When I moved to Florida, my mom left her government VA job. Her and my dad got in a divorce, and she wanted us to have a new start. She sold all of her belongings, and we moved into low-income apartments in the suburbs of Orlando, Florida. Here is where I experienced my first public school. Because my whole life I had gone to a small private school in Washington, going to a public school in a new state was a major culture shock. Here is where I met my best friend, Jesus, my first friend in Florida, my best friend ever since. He plays a huge part in this story. He helped me develop my first friend group that stayed with me over almost a decade, and he even helped me get my first girl's phone number. Well, after middle school, eventually high school came, and here I was exposed to different aspects of life. My middle school was a lower middle class demographic, but my high school was an upper middle class demographic. And this was the first time that I felt poor. I had never felt less privileged in my life until I got to high school. Now I'm noticing kids coming to school in expensive brands, new backpacks, new shoes, all sorts of new Nike shoes, polo shirts. Ralph Lauren was a huge deal. Now, at this time, all we could afford were clothes from Burlington. If you don't know what that is, it's like a TJ Maxx, but bigger. And I remember getting made fun of for my FUBU shoes. I was under the impression that they were really cool. Nobody else was. But my mom did the best she possibly could. I remember she would get to work at 7 a.m. and then leave at 7:30 p.m. every day. And then she would work Saturdays, 12-hour days. She had to work overtime just so we could afford to eat. There was a time growing up where we had no food in the house, and my mom's bank account was overdrawn. It was the night before payday, and we needed to eat. I remember my mom made it a game for us to find change scattered around the house and in the couch cushions. We needed just $5 for a Little Caesars pizza. This is back when they were a lot cheaper. Luckily, we found those $5. We scraped up enough money in change, and we got that glorious Little Caesars pizza. But we never ever forgot how humbling that was. And I'll never forget that till the day I die. There was not much money left over, clearly. So there was no extra money for me to get swagged out. But when you're hitting puberty and you want to get the attention of girls, you got to do something, right? So I decided enough was enough. I was going to figure out a way to make some money. I just needed to figure out how. Well, I got heavily into sneaker trading and reselling because a kid on my bus was doing it. Every bus ride home, every day, I'd pick his brain on what were good deals and what I should get as my first pair of shoes for an investment. This was way before StockX. If you wanted to buy limited edition sneakers, Jordans, LeBrons, Kobe's, you had to either wait in line and camp out for them, or you had to buy them off of Facebook Marketplace. So what I would do is I would get off of school and I would scour Facebook for hours. And I learned the sneaker market and all of the prices of all of the shoes from front to back. I knew what was a good deal. I knew what was a bad deal. I knew where I could make money, and that's what I did. So from here, I would get birthday money, Christmas money, maybe money from my grandparents for good grades. I would save it up and use it to go buy a pair of shoes. My mother worked hard. In birthdays, holidays, she would work magic. And that would really, really help me in my entrepreneurial journey. So whatever shoes I'd buy, I'd wear them to school. When I got home, I would try to sell them or trade them for new sneakers so I could go to school the next day or the following day with new shoes. What this allowed me to do was have multiple new shoes all of the time. I always had a rotation of sneakers. And whenever I would get extra sneakers and I would sell them for cash, I'd have pocket change that I could go to the movies with, take girls on dates, buy whatever I needed. From here, I was able to feel independent. I always felt like I had my own little bankroll and I didn't have to be dependent on when my mom gave me money. It also made me feel like I could put less of a strain on her. The kids whose parents made 10 times what my mom made were then wondering what kind of shoes I had and why I had these new shoes. And they were getting jealous. Not that that was the point, but it was an interesting look into the way things worked for me. I realized I didn't have to be broke. If I worked hard, I could get above average results. Well, eventually I stopped growing and lost any chance of getting a basketball scholarship. I loved basketball. I was on the team. I had to quit the basketball team. Not really quit. I pretty much didn't make the varsity team. And I had to figure out what I was going to do. I decided I was going to be a bookworm because now I needed money. I knew I needed money, not for shoes, but for college. I needed to get a scholarship. So I did everything possible for the last 2 years of my high school education to get my grades up so I could get some free schooling. And upon graduation, I ended with a 3.0 unweighted GPA, and I was able to get a full ride to a 2-year community college. I was very excited. I thought I hit the jackpot. I thought that my life was going up from here, This is where I become successful. But when I got into college, guess what else I needed? I needed more money. When you get older, you realize you start needing more money than you did when you were in high school. So I needed to get a job. And believe it or not, my best friend Jesus, who I mentioned earlier, he got me my first dishwashing job. Let me tell you how much humility that I learned while being in that job, but at least I got me some money. I was about 18 at the time. I worked 25 hours on the weekends, and I did school full-time during the week. You want to know what the result of that was? Me failing a class. And my scholarship was revoked, and I was depressed. It was very bad. This is where my depression and anxiety started to heighten. And now I'm a grown man who is going through all of these issues mentally with my confidence and with my drive and with knowing what I'm going to do with my life. But at the same time, I'm realizing that I'm falling in behind to everybody else and all of my peers around me. So for the next 2 years, all I did was live at home with my mom, play video games, mess around. I'm turning grown, but I'm not holding my weight at all. Not paying my mom anything, definitely. Still in my childhood room. At this point, my grandparents had bought me a little beater, and I had crashed that. I wasn't working. I wasn't going to school, had no car. I was a lowlife. 20 years old, I'm seeing all of these people getting apartments and new cars and getting girlfriends and dogs, and I'm living at home with my mom like a big teenager. Well, my best friend Jesus, who I mentioned before, started getting into sales. He started showing me all this money he was making, and I decided I had to get a taste. So he got me my second job, door-to-door sales, solar sales. Great money, but I absolutely hated it. I hated knocking on doors. I hated having quotas. My anxiety was really, really bad. I remember one day I got picked up from work by my mom because I had no car, and I went and had her pull over to the side of the road so I could throw up because I was so stressed out about not getting any sales and thinking I was going to get fired soon. Sales was not my cup of tea. I was able to make some money, but nothing to do a dent in anything. Let a couple more years go by, and I'm still doing crappy sales jobs, jumping from job to job to job, getting fired because I'm not making my numbers and just going to another one, living off the base pay. I knew I could do something great, but I couldn't think of what I wanted to do with my life. I ended up getting out of sales and get a valet job, and I was happy I was out of sales, and I was looking forward to the next part of my life. Well, COVID hits. And we all know about COVID. We don't need to go too much in depth, but it paused everything for me. We all know it sucked. I'm 23, 24 years old at this point. Time is ticking. I'm not doing anything good with my life. And putting your growth on pause is not good for a man at that stage of his life. Added in more fear, added in more anxiety, added in more depression. Well, guys, I thought I caught my lucky break. I got a job through my mom's friend of a friend. I was able to get a job during the pandemic. I didn't have to worry about unemployment and going through all of that. I was able to get a job as a FedEx driver, and it was making more than the unemployment was paying me. And I thought I had made it. I thought I finally found a career, a FedEx ground contract job. But to me, it was just a stepping stone so I could start saving money and hopefully get out of my mom's house. Well, at the beginning of 2021 is honestly where the journey became for me, where I truly started becoming a man. I was loading my FedEx truck, putting the packages in the back before I go out for my route, all the while not prepared for what was coming. I'd always taken life for granted. I took the people I love for granted, thinking that they'd always be around. While I was loading my FedEx truck, I got a call that my best friend Jesus, the one that I mentioned earlier in the story, he had gotten murdered, shot and killed at a party near the college we always had fun at. I wasn't there that night. Normally I'm always with him, but I had work the next day. And my best friend, my guide, the person that took me under their wing when I got into this strange new land, the person that got me all my jobs and helped me get girls and helped me just make sense of the world, my best friend, he was murdered, he was killed, he was gone. Now for the next 6 months, my life was pretty much a blur. All I had left of him was a shirt and his hat that he had left at my house. I had to go through the trial, the funeral, look his murderer in the face, let him know what he took from me. Definitely a huge turning point in my life. Nothing was going to make me feel better. Nothing was going to change my life. I had to do it myself. I was going to put in every bit of effort to honor my best friend because he knew that I could do something with my life. And I knew he had my back because he always did. So 6 months after the beginning of 2021, on my first birthday that I didn't have Jesus, he sent me a gift. He's always there on every birthday. He never missed one. And Jesus, he was Peruvian. And I had never met another Peruvian in my life, even coming here to Florida and meeting all of these different Latinos. But on my birthday, I met another Peruvian, a gorgeous girl. And ever since the night of my birthday when I met her, she has been the love of my life. Somehow, I believe Jesus pulled strings for my birthday. He wasn't there, but he was. And I vowed to marry that girl one day because she's been there from here on. Eventually, things got rough again. I had gotten into 2 consecutive accidents in my FedEx truck. Not involving other cars though, but I was tripping down the FedEx truck's stairs while I was holding packages. It happened 2 times. And as I would fall down those stairs in an attempt to brace myself, I would reach back with my left shoulder and it would dislocate. 2 times, 2 dislocations, 2 separate occasions. Well, on the second injury, I ended up needing surgery. And the doc told me I could never do a manual labor job ever again unless I wanted to wear a sling for the rest of my life. So I go on workers' comp for 6 months and I'm depressed because I can't do FedEx, manual labor, couldn't do construction if I wanted to somehow make some money. I couldn't go to school because I already failed out of that. I'm still living at home with my mom. My best friend is killed. Now I have a girlfriend. What am I supposed to do with my life? I have no idea what I'm going to do. I have no degree. I'm 25. I have no skills. A busted shoulder. What am I supposed to do with my life? And remember, guys, I am still living in my childhood room with my mom in the low-income apartments. Well, before I had gotten injured, one of my friends had mentioned getting into IT, information technology. He had got a $60,000 job at a bank after studying for like 2 months. But I was at the lowest point of my life, as you guys can hear, and $60,000 sounded like it could lift me up quite a bit. He had mentioned some certification tests called CompTIA, but the cost of the test and the study guide was just too much for me. I was freaking broke. I asked him, did he do CompTIA? He was like, no. I was like, why do I have to do it? He said, I did course careers. I asked him what that was. And he eventually told me, honestly, I don't even have to do CompTIA. I could just do what he did. I could do course careers. He sent me a referral link so I could get the discount for the course. And if you guys want me to be fully honest, as a 25-year-old man, I didn't even have enough money for it. It was $450, cheaper than the CompTIA certs would be. I just didn't have it. Remember that gift from my birthday, that beautiful girl I met? Well, she gave me the money and didn't want me to pay her back. She believed in me. She thought I could do it. I never had a girl do that for me and give me that much money before. So guys, this is when I hit rock bottom, but in a good way. I was done with being broke. I was done with being depressed. I was done being sad, feeling bad for myself. I was going to make it my life's mission to master that IT course that she bought me. I had no other chance. Was I going to let her down too? No, I was not. I became physically and mentally obsessed with learning IT, with learning everything I could in that course and everything I could out of it. I set myself to an 8-hour-a-day study schedule. I matched the work hours that my girlfriend did, so I didn't feel like such a lowlife, but so I could really put in that work. I went to the library and got as many IT and computer science books that I could with the library card. I found IT podcasts and I listened to them anytime I was driving, anytime I was eating a meal. Remember guys, I'm on workers' comp 8 hours a day, obsessed. And in 2.5 weeks, I finished that course. I got the graduation certificate. But in that time that I did the course, it helped me build a hands-on IT experience that I was able to convert into a tech portfolio. The course also gave me a magnificent cover letter that I was able to fill in with my own information. And so from here, I just kept learning as many IT concepts and as much information as I possibly could. I had the certification, I had my resume revamped, I had a cover letter, I had a tech portfolio. You know what I did? I simply applied for jobs like a madman, a lunatic. Try applying for jobs for 8 hours a day. Give it a shot. I was submitting 60 quality applications a day. Times that by 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, I finally got my first IT interview. It was a 12-month IT contract position at an undisclosed theme park here in Orlando. I was thinking it was just some little run-of-the-mill kiddie park that we have here. I wasn't expecting much, but I was excited. After I jammed my brain with IT knowledge for the past month, I was extremely ready for any IT interview that they could throw at me. Beginner level, I passed the first technical interview. I passed the second technical interview, got to the director, passed the third technical interview. And one day when I wasn't expecting it, I got a call from the recruiter and they offered me a job. 2 days after that final interview, I was offered a job, 12-month IT contract at all 4 Walt Disney World theme parks. I was going to be an IT guy at Disney. Guys, I did it. It was an $8,000 raise to what I was getting paid at FedEx. I was going in the right direction. From here, me and my girlfriend, my gift from Jesus, we were able to get our first apartment. This apartment that I'm in right now, here in downtown Orlando, a luxury 1-bedroom high-rise apartment. Combined our incomes and we got approved. Guys, at this point, I was 26 years old and I finally moved out of my mama's house. And guys, Disney was awesome, but I ran into my next hurdle. The job was only for 12 months. There was no way I could go backwards from here. After 12 months, I wasn't going to be an IT guy anymore. After 12 months, if I didn't have a job lined up, all of this was for nothing. This wasn't a permanent Disney job. This was just a contract position. This was just me getting my foot in the door. But it was great for my resume. So I need to secure a full-time job. That is my goal while working at Disney. I'd have a lot of free time. I was pretty much to myself. So I had moved into this nice apartment. How was I going to keep it? This was stressful. This was very stressful. I was applying like a madman. 10 months into my IT job at Disney, I was finally offered another interview for another company for a full-time position. It was to be a remote monitoring and management technician with a specialization in endpoint detection and response. A mouthful, but I was excited and I wanted it bad because this is cybersecurity, guys. This is moving towards the big leagues. I battled through 3 very challenging technical interviews where I had to think on my feet, and really I feel like Jesus, I really feel like my guardian angel was with me because somehow the words were coming out and I don't feel like I was controlling it. But I got through those 3 technical interviews. At that point in my life, guys, I was living, breathing, sleeping IT every day. I knew that it was my ticket out. It was my ticket out of the life that I had been living where I could finally lead a successful existence. I had nothing else, guys. Nothing else. This had to work. I had to get this job. I knew I could get it. Well, I was right because your boy got the freaking job. I was offered this position with a huge, magnificent raise. The biggest raise I had ever gotten in my life from one job to another. Much better than what I was getting paid at Disney. I was used to being broke, guys. I was used to living on nothing. I knew how to do it. I knew how to budget. But now, after I paid my rent, I had so much left over and I was so used to living on nothing that I was just able to stack and save. And from here, I just became addicted to saving money. That was what I was going to do. I think it had to do with financial insecurity growing up. I never wanted to be poor again. I knew that if I saved and I saved, I could save myself. A couple of months after that, someone hit me in my car and totaled my car. And the payout that I got was enough for me to go and get myself into my dream car. I was gonna have to finance it, but I was in the position to pay those payments monthly. This was an insane moment for me because I had the apartment, I had the girl, I had the car, I had the job. Things were going really, really good. And as of now, it's been close to 2 years of me being in IT. I started sharing my journey on my channels, just wanting to give people tips and make it seem like they had a big brother that was leading the way. Also to give my siblings back in Washington some tips in case they wanted to learn the journey. And I ended up realizing I love it. I love sharing the journey. I love talking to the camera. And I get messages of people following in my footsteps and they're changing their lives too. It's crazy. People are signing up with my link from Course Careers, the course that I took to get into IT, and they're getting IT jobs themselves. They're messaging me. My LinkedIn is so full that, guys, I can't respond to all of these messages. I'm sorry if I haven't responded to your message. It's a good thing, though, because you're doing great and I'm doing great. It's crazy because as time has gone by, I think I want to coach others on how to get into this field. I think I want to coach others in this field. I want people to be IT aficionados too. I want them to have that confidence. I want them to be able to change their lives. I convey that to my managers, and now I'm working to become a technical trainer at work. I told them I want to train other people. I want to help pass over the knowledge. It would help me where I'm doing this right now, but it would also help me in possibly becoming a manager and moving my way through the company I work in. So lately I've been getting tasked with training the new hires. 2 years ago, I didn't even know how to copy and paste. I didn't even own my own computer or laptop. But now I'm over here helping transfer my knowledge to people that are looking up to me like I'm some smart guy when I'm just a normal guy who put in that work. I'm actually useful now. Like I actually have a skill now, guys. It's a crazy feeling. People look at me as the IT guy driving the fast car in the nice apartment. But a little while ago, I was looked at like a bum. I looked at myself like a bum. And as time goes by, I know Jesus is proud. I know my girl is proud. I know my family is proud. My friends. But most importantly, I'm proud of myself. And I'm able to look in the mirror and have more self-confidence and more self-worth. I still have a long way to go. I want to be the best IT coach / cybersecurity technical trainer that there ever was. I want to be a manager one day. But the main thing that I want is for you guys not to give up. Even when reality is crumbling, even when you think all is lost, even when you think you are a failure, I want you to remember it only takes one good month to change your entire life around. Lock in, become obsessed. I promise that you will be more successful than me. You got this. Now, if you guys want to keep up with my journey and the tips that I have along the way, please hit that like button on this video and hit that subscribe button. Who knows, you guys might never see me again. And if you watched the video this far, you guys should stick around. We all have a lot of improving to do, and we're going to do it together. So don't give up. Don't have a pity party. Just remember, the more learning, the more earning. Peace out, everybody.